Hello everyone. Welcome to our session, Building Inventive Customer Experience with Data, AI and Serverless. I am Pranav Sharma, Principal Solution Architect based in the UK, and I am joined by Jay Rao, who is Principal Solution Architect based here in the US. Today, we are here to explore how data, AI and serverless can be used to not only meet your customer expectations, but actually exceed them. So agenda for today is, what is customer experience and why does it matter? Why it is not just a buzzword, but actually a business imperative that can drive outcomes for your business. We'll then talk about foundations of building inventive customer experience. We'll talk about 4 key pillars, right? The framework that you can take back to your organization to build those foundational pillars, on top of which multiple customer experiences can be built. We'll then take a look upon different architecture patterns and solutions that you can take back and apply within your organizations to build some awesome customer experiences. We'll also present to you a couple of case studies to inspire you from customers who have actually built these inventive customer experiences and share some awesome stories there. And finally, we'll also talk about different AWS programs and workshops that we offer through your account teams and otherwise, which can help you get started, or if you are already in that journey, then accelerate it for you. So what is customer experience and why does it matter? We are surrounded by some awesome customer experiences. So when you watch your favorite show over favorite streaming service of your choice, like Netflix or Amazon Prime, you are used to being recommended shows that are based on your previous watch history or based on what other people who have similar taste like you are watching. When you shop online in Amazon.com or other e-commerce providers, you are used to a frictionless digital experience and you expect the goods to be delivered within a day or less. When you are looking to get your mortgage and you contact your bank, you are accustomed to an experience which is at an interplay of both physical and digital interactions. Basically, these leading organizations around the world have set the customer experience bar so high that when customers engage with any brand, they carry those expectations with them. Hence, providing a superior customer experience is not really a choice for any business, but it is actually an imperative to compete in modern marketplace. And leading organizations around the world actually understand this. And that is why when they're building new products and features and services, they keep customer and customer experience at center of it. So organizations are using data to provide and gain a more holistic understanding of their customer and use that to create contextualized and personalized offers and services. They are actively using data to continuously fine-tune the offers and services that they have so that they are most relevant for their customers. And they are super keen to meet the customer on channel of their choice and trying to reduce that friction that comes by, say, asking them to download an additional mobile app or create a new login ID just to access some service. With an overall end goal to help the customer achieve their personalized goals. Now, to understand this a bit better, let's take an example, right? Here we are presenting to you one of the most common customer experience. That is customer experience of buying a car. I'm sure most of us in this room are accustomed to this. Now here we present to you Zach, who is looking to buy a car. Now during the acquisition stage of his journey, Zach is continuously researching different car options online and based on his requirements, trying to narrow down to a select few. At this stage, there are quite a few common customer experience features available for Zach today. These are like advanced filters. So for example, using this, Zach can really narrow down based on his requirements, like what is the boot space that he expects in the car, what are the passenger number that he expects to carry, what are the different engine choices that Zach likes. Now, based on this, he can filter down the cars that match the requirements and then use features like high-resolution images and videos to basically take up close and personal look and see whether those cars are as per his taste, likings of his and his family or not. Even today, there are detailed car history reports that are available, which Zach can access to see whether a particular car or the model is safe for his or his family. Now, even though these features are super important and incredibly helpful, using AI and data and serverless technology, there is ample opportunity to further elevate the customer experience for Zach. So for example, imagine an interface is offered to Zach where he can just describe his requirements in a natural language as if he is talking to a human advisor. And based on that, a large language model can actually process those requirements and then filter down and recommend him a select few cars that actually match his requirements. The car dealerships can also even take a step further and provide mixed reality headsets like the upcoming Apple's Vision Pro, using which customers can interact with their car in three-dimensional way like never before. So from this, I hope you are able to appreciate that even though there are some very good customer experience features available at this stage, there is still ample room to innovate on behalf of customers. Now, once Zach has made a choice of the car that he wants to buy, he moves on to the next stage, and that is the stage of onboarding. This is the stage where we want to help Zach actually buy the car. Now, some of the common features available at this stage are like automated document uploads. Now, at this stage, Zach can very easily upload documents, like for example, his driving license, his bank statements, etc., using which a decision can be taken whether what sort of finance can be offered to Zach. There is also integration with credit reference agencies, using which soft credit checks can be done. And these are actually done today as well, right? Now, there is still opportunities to elevate this customer experience. So for example, using AI, now automated identity and document review can be done, which can then enable instant finance approval. Vehicle readiness updates can be provided to Zach. So from the point he places an order, when the manufacturer completes its manufacturing and actually ships his car to the dealer and it's actually delivered to Zach, all that journey of the car can actually, updates about that can be provided to Zach, which he's actually used to from his e-commerce provider, for example. So the moment you place an order, you are updated every step along the journey till that box arrives at your doorstep. So carrying basically that experience to this car buying experience is now possible with these technologies. Now that Zach has made a purchase, we move on to the next stage, and that is the stage of service. So at this stage, the focus is how to make Zach's car buying experience more enjoyable. So some of the common experience available at this stage is Zach can book a service appointment over any channel of his choice. He can use mobile app, he can use social media channels, all of that, and can also expect to get personalized notification for upcoming service based on the service schedule of his own car. These are the things which are available today. But there is still awesome opportunity using AI to elevate the customer experience. Here, we are talking about the car manual. I'm sure all of you would have seen that car manual, like 400, 500 page manual, which nobody actually ever opens until there is some issue or some obscure feature, or your car is behaving in some way and you want to understand why it is the case. Only then you open up that manual, right? Now imagine if that manual can be transformed into an intelligent AI assistant, to which Zach can just ask questions about any feature he wants. And not only that agent gives him the response about that feature, but can also safely enable and disable that feature within his car when Zach is in the car, or also when maybe through a mobile app as well. So as you can see, there is just so much ample opportunity, and actually your imagination is just the limit with what current technology can do at each stage. Now we are at the final stage. So Zach has been having this car for a few years now. Now he is looking for a next upgrade or something. And some of the common experience available is the recommendation of next car based on the current car that Zach has. Now at this stage also, there is ample opportunity to upgrade the customer experience. Now for example, imagine when Zach's car goes for a service, imagine if he was to be offered an automatic valuation of his car, a free valuation basically. And not just that valuation, but also clear pathways to his next highly recommended car, so that it is super easy and quick and seamless for Zach to move on from one car to another car, completely integrated experience where finance provider and everything else is operating at the background. So now we have presented to you all 4 stages, right, of the car buying experience, and also explained how at every step there is an opportunity to elevate customer experience using AI, data, and serverless technologies. Now we believe that this framework is not limited to just car buying experience framework. You can take this framework back to any use case within your own business and try and apply it to think, what are the customer experience elevation opportunity at each of these stages within your own business, within your own use cases? So what is actually a customer experience in summary? It is a right experience delivered through a right channel, be it a website, be it a mobile app, be it over email, at a right time when the customer is most receptive to listen about it, underpinned by core features like personalization, customer 360, etc. Now we have extensively talked about customer experience, lots of opportunity to elevate that. But why does it really matter? Is it just we want to give that wow to the customer? Does it really have an impact on the business? So here we are presenting data from Watermark Consulting, which they have gathered over last 13 years, which clearly showcases that customer experience leaders consistently outperform S&P 500 benchmark, and customer experience laggard consistently struggle to keep pace. Now, most leading companies understand this. Hence, when Bain & Company ran a survey for leading companies, as in how important is customer experience for them, 80% of them turned around and said it is a super important priority for them, and they are actually working and delivering a superior customer experience. But interestingly, guess what? When Bain & Company ran same review or survey with the actual end customer of those organizations, that how many of them actually believed that they are being delivered superior customer experience, only 8% of them felt that they are actually being delivered a superior customer experience, right? So there is clearly a gap between what organizations feel that they are offering in terms of customer experience and then what the actual customer thinks that they are getting in terms of customer experience. So how do we bridge this gap, right? We will explain in subsequent slides some of the frameworks and processes and mechanisms that you can apply to try and bridge that gap for your own business as we go along the talk. Here we are presenting to you a quick case study from Amazon.com to showcase how consistent innovation on customer experience can lead to sustained business growth. So for example, in 1995, Amazon started collaborative filtering, through which customers could discover new products based on the product that they were buying, which enhanced the number of customers who started coming onto the platform, but also increased the basket size or the cart size of each time when order was placed. In last 5 to 10 years, Amazon has consistently delivered customer experience innovation in form of voice-enabled self-service, same-day delivery, reorder express lane, etc. These innovations have driven more customer traffic towards the Amazon.com website, which has meant that more and more third-party sellers have been super interested to sell on Amazon.com, which then has led to enhanced choices for the end customer in terms of products that they can buy from Amazon, but then also at the lowest prices that they can get from it. As you can see, this customer experience innovation, how it has triggered a revolution and a win-win-win for the end customer in terms of products that they can get at the prices that they can get, in terms of third-party sellers that at single point they can sell to so many different customers, and also for Amazon in terms of how it led to greater revenue for Amazon. Now, let's take a look at foundations of building inventive customer experience. Here we present to you 4 key pillars which we believe are core to build inventive customer experience. The first of which is design thinking. Design thinking is the process where you try and innately understand your customer, review the different technology choices that are available to solve those problems for the customer, and then basically filter down based on the requirements of your business so that the solutions that you deliver make most sense for your business. The next pillar, which most customer experience professional will never think about or don't usually think about, is well-architected. Now, well-architected framework, as you may know, provides 6 non-functional dimensions through which you can review your applications to understand what are the opportunities to improve your applications so that they are primed to meet any demand from your customer, any sort of customer experience expectation at any scale and at any time of the day. The third pillar is customer insights. You would have often heard that data is at center of all the transformation that is happening today, which is true. And customer insights is about exactly that. The ability to continuously capture data after getting a consent from your customer through various channels like mobile app, like social media, like store visits, etc., storing them centrally and then continuously analyzing it in real time to make decisions and fine-tuning products and services based on that. Basically creating a unified customer profile that acts as foundation to any customer engagement that you do is at heart of any customer experience use case that you can build. And finally, artificial intelligence. I think with Zach's example, we gave you a number of scenarios where we could demonstrate that how applying AI, it's not just a buzzword, but it can continuously, you could see in all those examples, how it can elevate the experience for Zach. So these, we believe, are the 4 foundational pillars which you should apply when you go back within your organization and think through across all these 4 dimensions how you are doing in any customer experience use case. Now let's take a look at each of these one at a time. So what is design thinking? Design thinking is the process through which you are trying to innately understand your user through these 3 dimensions, right? What does the user really want and who the users really are? So that is the user pillar of it. Then you have the business pillar. Now user may have a number of requirements, but does it make sense to solve all those requirements? Maybe not. So you want to pick and choose which are the problems that you want to solve on behalf of your user, which make most business sense for your business. And finally, technology. There will be a number of technology choices, which are the ones that you want to use to solve those business problems. So design thinking process is a 5-step process. It starts with empathize, where you try and understand your user's requirements. You then go on to define them basically so that it is well framed, and there are a number of mechanisms available at this stage, so you can use them to deliver outputs. The third stage is ideate. Now that you have defined the requirements, this is the stage you pick and choose different technology solutions that you can apply to deliver outcome. Once you have agreed at a solution, you build up a prototype, and prototype can take up a form like interactive prototypes, mock-ups, etc., that you can build to basically finally put to a test stage through which you can apply usability testing, A/B testing, QA, and many other tools and generate incredible feedback, which you then feed right back into the empathize phase. So as you can see, this is an incredibly interactive process. It needs to be super agile and continuously evolving so that you are zeroing down to the needs of your customer and business through this well-defined process. This is the process which is at the heart of most of the leading product organizations across the world. So now let's take a look at the well-architected framework. The first pillar of this is operational excellence. The operational excellence is really about streamlining processes so that you can deliver outcomes for your user with minimum cognitive load. The second pillar is security. Now your users have to trust you that security is job zero for you, and you will do everything within your control to safeguard their data. This allows the users to be more open as they engage with your application to share data, which you can then use to create more recommended personalized offers for the user. The third pillar is reliability. Now, your user needs to trust that your applications will work when they need them the most. Now, say for example, when you are swiping your credit card at 2 a.m. in a Las Vegas casino, you expect it to work, and that reliability has been built over last many years. The fourth pillar is performance efficiency. Now, we all know that faster load times leads to higher revenue for most e-commerce application. And it's super critical to have a performant application to ensure that you have a higher engagement with your customers. Next is cost optimization. Now, optimized applications save a lot of cost for your applications, which you can then in turn pass it back to your end user, delivering a superior customer experience. We at AWS are super committed to help our customer optimize their workloads on AWS so they can make those cost savings, which in turn they can pass it back to their own customers. And finally, sustainability. Today, every customer is super conscious about the choice that they are making and the impact those choices are having on the planet. And to build that trust within your customer, that every decision that you are taking has this sustainability lens built into it, ensures that they will be with you for a longer term. Now, one key point that we would want to add before we move on is most organizations try to, in the interest of getting quickly out to the market, do not focus on non-functional requirements. And for us, as the technology champions, it is our duty to ensure that everyone does apply the same focus on these non-functional requirements to ensure awesome customer experiences are delivered. The next pillar is the customer insights, which is delivered through customer data platform. Now, customer data platform is a software solution that collects, organizes, analyzes the information that is gathered through various channels and makes it available so that different use cases can use it. This is really about creating that unified customer profile on top of which all the AI can work and provide customized solutions to your end customers. And finally, the fourth pillar is AI. We have extensively given a number of examples of AI and how it can really elevate the experience. And here we present to you different things like hyper-personalized features, frictionless execution across touchpoint, engaging in multimodal interfaces through generative AI, and always-on experience through virtual agents. So now at this stage, I would like to hand it over to Jay to discuss about how to build these inventive experience on AWS.
Thanks, Pranav. All right, so we saw what customer experience is and why it's important, right, to build these experiences in your applications. In this section, we'll see how you can build this inventive customer experience on AWS. So we talked about the different journey stages of a customer life cycle. In this section, we'll talk about the solutions that you can build for each of these journey stages and how you can deliver this inventive customer experience. So let's talk about the acquire stage first. Let's continue with the car buying process, the example that we talked about. In this stage, you as a car manufacturer or dealer are looking to acquire a new customer. Essentially, you are trying to capture data about the customer to know their buying signals, right? So you are there when they are making that decision. In this stage, you are targeting those prospect customers, right? And to identify their requirement, their budget, their interest. And you can use the external data sources, things like social data, social media, or market data. And you can also use your internal data to build this unified customer profile, audience profile, and understand their requirement. You can pass on this, you can build a propensity list using this information or the data that you collected, and you can pass on this information to your marketing or sales team so that they can be targeted in their offers to this customer when they are going in front of them. So let's talk about how you can build this unified customer views of data and interaction, also known as Customer 360 or Customer Data Platform. The architecture works essentially on three concepts: unification, analytics, and activation. So unification, as the name suggests, right, you're bringing the disparate data sources into a single environment. Analytics, right, no secret there. You're using analytics and machine learning to generate the insights about the data, from the data. And the last is activation. You're putting these insights to work, right? You're putting it to personalization, ad campaigns, marketing offers, and so forth. So the data typically is collected from multiple different data sources. It could be SaaS applications that you're using. It could be logs. It could be clickstream data, right? Number of data sources that you can use. And based on the data source that you're collecting this data from, you can use different AWS services to bring that data into a singular environment, also typically a data lake, right? You can also use AWS Data Exchange, which is a service that provides you to gather and capture the third-party data, the market data that I was giving an example of. You can bring all this data back into a single environment. Typically, you can use lake formation, right, to build this scalable data lake on Amazon S3. Lake formation allows you to build this unified governance so that you can centralize security, access control, audit trail. You can use AWS Glue, which is our ETL service, right? You are extracting, transforming, and loading the data. And you can use Glue's data brew if you want to visually prepare the data. And lastly, typically customers also use AWS Lambda for validation and verification of the data. So the data is ingested, cleansed, and normalized, and ready for the analytics service to use at this point. And there are a number of analytics services on AWS platform that you can use at this point, namely Redshift, which is our flagship cloud data warehouse service, right? So if you want to run complex analytical query to generate insights from the data that you captured and gathered, you can use that. You can use AWS QuickSight, which is our business intelligence service for you to allow to build dashboards and visuals. One of the key aspects in any customer data platform or customer 360 is identity resolution, right? What do I mean by identity resolution? If you're bringing this data from various data sources, identity resolution allows you to unify and pinpoint this data belongs to this particular users, right? When you are especially capturing from different channels, different data sources, and that's a key point in this customer data platform. You can use deterministic rules or probabilistic rule to resolve this identity of the users, which is in the data that you captured across different data sources. You can use EMR, which is our big data service, right, to resolve using deterministic rule, or you can use Amazon SageMaker, which is our machine learning service, so that you can use ML models and predictive analytics to match the records. You can expose this unified customer profile using an API to drive your activation, right? So you can drive your personalization activity, you can drive your marketing offers, and you can sort of expose this to your internal teams to make use of it. Feel free to scan this QR code, which has the guidance around how you can build this Customer 360 platform on AWS. Let's talk about some of the things that you should consider to enhance the architecture that we just saw if you're building this Customer 360 or customer data platform on AWS. First, about the data strategy, and this is not so much different than any data lake, but since this architecture, you're collecting a lot of data from various different data sources, various different formats. You want to make sure that you have a correct life cycle and correct storage tiers, right, that you're using to store those data. And another key point is you're using the efficient data storage formats. And that, things like Apache Parquet or ORC, and that drives two things. One, performance, right? When you have this compressed data ready for querying, performance is the key. And also the cost, as I mentioned, you are capturing a lot of data and you want to make sure that you're storing it in a cost-optimized way. As I mentioned, if you're using Glue for your ETL activity, Glue Studio allows you to visually author the scripts to transform the data. So you don't have to generate the scripts from scratch. You can take advantage of these capabilities, which will make the life much more easier when you're transforming the data. And lastly, AWS entity resolution. So the block that you see about the identity resolution can be replaced by this managed service called AWS entity resolution, which allows you to match, link, and enhance records using either rule-based matching or machine learning models. So we saw the acquire stage. Let's talk about the next stage of the journey is onboard, right? So the purchaser has typically when they make a decision to buy the car, you'll have to provide some sort of documentation, and might also have to apply for a car loan, going back to the same example of Zach. So this stage of the journey you can call onboard, and you can apply it to different verticals. So how you can improve this experience? Customers or cars nowadays are being sold online. I'm not sure if you've captured the recent announcement of Amazon.com and Hyundai partnership that you can purchase Hyundai cars on Amazon.com website starting next year. So it would be fitting if you're able to do a lot of this paperwork digitally, so that car either can be delivered to your doorstep, just like the packages are getting delivered nowadays, or you just have to drop into the car dealership just to pick up the key and walk out, right? Or if you're purchasing the car in the dealership, it would be really great if you're able to do a lot of the paperwork after an exhaustive negotiation session that you might have while purchasing the car. So a lot of these capabilities can enhance this experience. And what you can do to enhance is there are a couple of ways that you can do, right? One, you can verify the identity, as Pranav mentioned earlier, and validate the documentation. So a lot of this paperwork activity that happens today that can be done digitally, virtually, and seamlessly. You can also use AWS intelligent document processing. So Pranav mentioned about the document uploads that are available today. But what if the loan provider or any other car dealership can use this intelligent document processing capabilities to remove the inefficiency into their the application processing that they may be doing today, so that they can get the decision, like a car loan decision, to the user or Zach faster. So let's talk about reference architecture, how you can build an onboarding, inventive customer experience for onboarding stage. Let's talk about the identity verification portion first. So let's say a prospective customer uploads a set of documents using a front end or UI, and which lands on Amazon S3, and Amazon Lambda, which gets triggered, which will invoke recognition API and to do image processing, right? So it can compare a selfie with identity documents such as a license or passport that they've uploaded, so that the identity can be verified it's the same person. Once you have done that, the next stage of the process is trigger, which is the application logic. At this stage, you are trying to validate the document that is uploaded. And this way, you are integrating the third-party APIs. Maybe there are third parties which allows you to authenticate driving licenses and passports. Either you are using an API, or you can use AWS Data Exchange to subscribe to a third-party data as part of your document validation process. As I mentioned, the next part of this onboarding journey, you can do intelligent document processing. So the same process applies. Amazon Lambda triggers the text track to extract the text from the document, and then we can use Amazon Comprehend, which is a natural language processing service, to extract the key insights out of the text. At this stage, you can also use generative AI, which obviously a lot of you know, right? You can use generative AI to create summaries of the document, so that the loan officer who is processing this document or mortgage packet can make the decision faster and has all the information available to them. Some of the consideration, if you're building this onboarding to enhance the architecture, first one, if your use case benefit from reducing the spoofing attempt, right? If your user is putting a picture of someone else's in front of the camera rather than taking a real selfie for that identity verification, you can use the recognition face liveness API so that you know that it was not spoofed. If you're using TextRec for document processing, you can use the dedicated APIs to process the identity documents, or TextRec also provide a natural language queries ability, so that you're extracting key pieces of information rather than processing the entire document if you're only looking for those information itself. And lastly, if you're using large language models, you can use the frameworks such as Llama Index or LangChain, which makes the integration of this large language model in your application much more simpler. And lastly, if you're using this process for critical decisions, you should leverage human reviewer, especially for the low confidence prediction, right? So you have those verification or feedback loop already built in as part of your application. All right, so moving on to the next stage of the journey, which is service. as the name suggests, right, the customer may reach out if they have questions or wanted to share concern. And you can build some end-user facing tools, or you can provide your customer service team some capabilities to deliver transformative experience. To provide this enhanced customer experience, your contact center should leverage AI/ML capabilities. Using Cloud Contact Center Intelligence Solution, or CCI solution, you can boost your agent productivity. You can also gain conversation insights of what your customers are saying, what sort of feedback that they're providing, so that it can enhance either the process, or you can take that feedback back to the product teams. And how can you forget the generative AI at this stage, right? You can use Gen AI to power your service agents, or you can create virtual agents. You can create bots to assist your human agents when they are supporting or helping your customer. So continuing with our story of Zach, let's say Zach purchased the car, but he has questions about certain car features or functionality. In traditional customer experience, he would have to, like Pranav mentioned, refer to the car manual, or maybe just go online and search on the internet, which may or may not yield the right answer. But what if we can provide a virtual agent, which is available 24/7, which has all the knowledge about the car model, the feature, functionality, and can accurately reference the car manual when it's answering the queries of the user, in this case, Zach. Wouldn't that be an awesome customer experience? So let's take a look at how we can build such an agent. This architecture is broken into two parts. So there's the first part is the admin part, right? So through admin UI, you will configure the virtual agent. You will provide or upload car manuals and other related documentation, which will land on S3. A Lambda function will get triggered, and the documents will get passed through embedding models, which will generate the numeric representation or vectors and get stored into some vector store. The second portion of this architecture is the actual one where user interfaces with this chatbot or the agent. The queries will be received by the Lambda through Amazon Lex chatbot, and Lambda can trigger Amazon Comprehend if you're trying to gain some insights from the request itself to see where you want to route the request or do other processing. Or if you want to do a translation, if you're providing a global service and want to translate the query and store it unified manner, you can invoke the translate API. But most importantly, the query will go or pass to the embedding agent so that you are embedding model, so that you're generating an embedding and finding the relevant passage that in the knowledge base that you've stored. So along with the relevant passages that you searched and the original query, all those are passed to the text generation LLM, which will generate an accurate answer referring back to where the car manual, in this case, where it found that answer, right? So it's not making it up. Now that's an inventive customer experience. This solution was, I can go back. You can scan the QR code. Its solution is published as Q&A bot on AWS. So if you are interested to learning more about it, please scan the QR code. So let's talk about some of the consideration of enhancing that architecture. So as we mentioned in the design principle pillar, think of the UI and the channel and the design before you implement the technical solution. Now, lay out the scenarios of how your users will interact with this agent and work backwards so that it can power your application and design manners. You can also use large language model to personalize this agent so that it speaks the same tone, it has the same conversation style as your organization. So it provides that cohesive customer experience. You can also create a data-driven framework to select the large language model. I'm sure as you know, there are a number of models out there, and not all models might be equivalently good or perfect for your situations. You want to use data to back up the choice of the model. Look at how your users have been interacting within the chatbot so that you can periodically update the bot using the utterances that you've been receiving, right? So you can change your agent with the trend that you're seeing with the customer, from the customer through their interactions. And lastly, define clear measures of success. You need to capture how this solution is solving the problem that you started with, how it's affecting the business outcome. The example KPI could be an increased customer retention, an improvement in the net promoter score, but define that success or criteria before you go and implement the solution. That would help you establish the fact with the business of how the solution is helping. All right, so the last stage of the journey is the continuous growth of the customer. I mean, there are lots of statistics out there about how expensive it is to acquire new customer versus retaining an existing one. And you don't only want to retain the customer, you want to mature them on your platform, on your service. For the most customer or most businesses, the key part of their strategy is to retain those customers and increase their share of wallet, right? Have their spend increased on your platform. And to do that, you would need to capture the data to get the holistic understanding of the user. In our story, let's say that Zach bought the car a couple of years ago, and using Zach's interaction on your platform, on your partner's platform, you can realize that his situation has changed. And using that, you can recommend a bigger car or car with a better mileage or car with a lower CO2 emissions to provide that personalized experience for him. By knowing your consumer, you can send more relevant messages, recommend products and services that are more likely to interest them. So let's take a look at the architecture diagram of how you can create a personalized experience. So in this system, and it'll come in a minute, but in the system, in this architecture, what we are doing is we are dynamically capturing the user data, or user activity, and we are feeding that insight to large language model to generate a personalized content. So imagine a scenario, let's say if you are a car dealer who is creating a campaign to market the popular vehicles to users. You have a top 10 popular cars, and you want to pick the top 3 cars for each users based on their interest, based on their previous ownership, and other traits that they are looking for in the car. For example, in our story, as I mentioned, Zach now has a bigger budget and a need for a bigger car. We could use an AI system to determine which of the car or sets of car will meet this requirement for him, and then generate that email or content and send it to him. This reference architecture is built on the Customer 360 as we saw in the acquire stage. So Customer 360 provide activity logs based on basically an interaction or the activity that the user has been doing on your platform or your partner's platform. The user profiling engine is deployed on SageMaker. So it takes basically the user activity data and figure out the interest, customer interest, which is stored in the feature store. Feature store is basically a tool which stores, manages, and enhances the features for a machine learning model. And features could be, what categories of the car the user is interested in, the price range, and also similar things. Those are the features for machine learning model. The top 10 vehicles, right? The promotional list, the promotional items, in this case, the vehicles that you're trying to promote as a dealer, is stored in the metadata store. An AI agent is a key or at the heart of this architecture. It basically coordinates the effort across a number of different components. So the AI agent takes the user ID as an input, fetches the customer profile data, customer interest from the feature store. It goes and fetches the promotional item from the metadata store, and then feeds that into the large language model, which basically picks the top 3 recommendation and creates a personalized email, a personalized body that you can use to send it to the user through a pinpoint. You can also provide a direct interface to the users where they can come and type their what they're looking for. So for example, Zach could come to this chatbot or interface and come and type this, hey, I'm looking for a car which sits 4 people with a 350 miles of range, which has low CO2 emission, which has rear seat, airbags, has a car seat anchors, all within $45,000 US. You can see it's a complex requirement and it cannot easily be solved using rule-based chatbots or engine. But with generative AI, you can break this requirement down easily and then recommend the top 3 cars or top cars which meets these requirements. Some of the consideration, again, I mentioned this before, but since the AI agent is the heart of the architecture that we see here, using Llama Index, LangChain, or AutoGen, all those frameworks are critical to implement this architecture. Leverage the prompt strategy. I mean, prompting strategy for any generative AI application is key. But there's a research paper out there about the engagement guided prompting. Essentially, you are providing the customer preference or customer interest as part of the prompt so that the AI model, the large language model knows that, hey, it's an AI agent assisting in email campaign crafting and recommending the top cars or personalized recommendation for the cars to the user. And lastly, again, there's a lot of choices out there in terms of the LLM, and may not be all models may not be equally applicable and useful to your situation. So use a data-driven model to select the model that applicable or performs best from the cost and the performance point of view. So we talked about different solutions you can build for each of the customer stages. Let's talk about a couple of customer case studies. The first one is Lunar Energy, which is a UK-based company providing home energy management solution. Essentially a way for customers to manage their energy assets like electric vehicles, batteries, solar panels, etc., and also allows them to sell the energy back to the grid provider. The platform that they have built is called GridShare, which essentially uses the customer's energy needs and then predicts the consumption and production estimates for the energy that they need for each customer every day, for each household, each devices. And they use this information and then create a personalized charging plan for every customer. And because GridShare can co-optimize between the customer's bill and the revenue it generates from selling that energy back to the grid provider, because it makes sure that the end customer gets the best value possible out of this experience. As for the outcome, as you can see, Itochu, a customer in Japan, saved an additional 14% on their energy bill. And this is an epitome of a customer experience, right? A platform which is available, scalable to millions of devices, which provides this personalized recommendation and control plans, which results in cost saving for the customer. Another customer story we have is a US-based healthcare firm. Essentially, they provide claims and benefits administration software. So using Amazon's working backward principle, they landed on improving the customer experience for their claims adjudication engine. They basically, the engine processes millions of documents, and using event-driven serverless system powered by AWS Lambda, along with a number of AI services, as you can see, they cut the processing time for those applications or claims, which is a major competitive advantage in their industry. They're using very similar architecture as we saw for the intelligent document processing, right? Amazon TextRect is used to extract the text. You can use comprehend or large language model to classify and then do some post-processing in terms of either extracting some insights out of it or maybe just create summarization and power some chatbots out of it. And they're using a human in the loop for the low confidence prediction. In their testing, they successfully processed 60,000 claims, which used to take hours, in matter of minutes. So the key impact from the customer experience point of view is they are getting the quick processing of their claims. So they're getting reimbursed faster compared to what they used to. All right, so now Pranav will talk about how AWS can help and what sort of different programs and workshops that you can take advantage of to enhance the journey that you are, or you can take that journey to build this solution.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll just stay here.
So here we present to you a functional domain model of building customer experience on AWS. Here, this presents different requirements that we have observed customers typically have when they are building a customer experience use case. Whether they are trying to create a frictionless experience to reduce customer effort, gather customer insights, drive engagement, or win customer trust, all of this can be done with using different AWS services. Now, in this slide, we are basically overlaying AWS services on top of the different customer experience requirement that we presented in the previous slide, so that you get a mapping between the requirements and the services that can fulfill those requirements. As you can see, the AWS platform provides the breadth and depth of those capability, which can pretty much fulfill any customer experience use case requirements. Now, how can we help you, right? We can meet you at any stage, whether you are getting started or you want our help to accelerate this journey. So it could start with helping you discover those customer experience use cases. So we can run a one-day workshop, which is called the Working Backwards workshop, either in your offices or within our own AWS premises, working with your business teams, technical teams to identify those top few use cases which make most sense for your business, right? Based on the data that we'll gather with you as we'll work with you. Out of this workshop, we'll come up with those prioritized use cases. Once we have those use cases, we would be happy to offer Gain Insight workshop. Now, this is the workshop through which you can build those foundational pillars that we referenced earlier, right? For the use case that has been already selected in the previous workshop. And out of this workshop, we'll come up with a solution architecture which will solve the problem that we identified in the first place. Now that we have an agreed solution architecture between your organization and your business and what works most, next stage, in the POC stage, we would be happy to offer help from our demo squads, which is a team which can work with you for a 1 or 2 week period, working closely with your technical teams to basically deliver a quick POC, which can then be shared within your organizations or with a test pilot customer base, which you may want to try with as well. What we can also do alongside this POC is run a number of enablement sessions, right? Because we have presented a lot of services in this session. Some of them are AI, some of them are data focused, and some are serverless as well. Now, we do appreciate there's a lot of cognitive load there, and we would be happy to help through running these enablement sessions, which are free of cost for your teams, right? And so that they come up the curve and then feel more confident in using them. Once you've delivered the POC, then it's up to you to make a choice whether you want to go in with an MVP or you want to productionize the use case. In either of the stages, we offer support through AWS Partner Network and also through AWS ProServe teams, which can come and augment the skill set of your own team and help you get faster towards the end result. And along this journey, right, you always have this consistent support from your native solution architect who is part of your account team, who will also have ability to pull in specialists if required, where required, to support your use case, most of the time free of cost. So to summarize, time is now to build inventive customer experience that can not only help you achieve the goals, but also drive business outcome for your organization. As we have showcased, the AWS platform has the breadth and depth of capability to support any customer experience requirement. And we as AWS team are committed to help you all the steps along this journey. Thank you so much for your time today. Please don't forget to fill the session survey and feel free to reach out to us over LinkedIn through these QR codes or to your account teams to help you get started. There's also a quick mobile game for folks who want to play to win some exciting prizes if you want to scan this QR code as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.